And before I do so, I am just going to play this affiliates video. So we have Cross Country Mortgage, who we're affiliated with, who's our lender. Then Ohio Real Title is going to be the title company, and then America's Preferred Home Warranty is our home warranty company that we're affiliated with. And they made this little video for this class. Wait, I have to make sure that I do the video. Can you guys hear the video? Good.
No.
Okay. Damn it, so much for the video. There we go.
Country Mortgage. Hi, my name is Sean Hadley. I'm a loan officer and branch manager for Cross Country Mortgage. You can find me at the Keller Williams Pepper Pike office. Look forward to meeting with you.
Hi, I'm Don Jarecki with Cross Country Mortgage, and I service the West Side, the Rock River office. I look forward to meeting each and every one of you.
Hi, Keller Williams, Greater Metropolitan. My name is Janelle Kiefer with Ohio Real Title, and I am the East Side Sales and Marketing Rep. Look forward to working with you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer O'Malley with Ohio Real Title. I service KWGM on the West Side. I hope to see you soon. Have a great day.
Hello, my name is Gina Legeza, and I'm the Area Sales Manager with America's Preferred Home Warranty. I am your point of contact for all things home warranty. Please reach out to me and schedule a one-on-one appointment so that you can learn how important home warranty is for you and your clients. I am looking forward to working with you.
All right. Okay. And after today's class, I'll send an email with everybody's contact information. All right, but let's pop into .lu. Okay. So when you have a new transaction in .lu, for example, like even if you have a new buyer and you're not writing a contract for anything yet, even just practicing on yourself or with the new buyer, you click add loop, and then you can name the loop your buyer's name. So it'd be like man buyer. You can change the name at any time. What's really nice about the loop is everything, for the most part, you could either change, edit, or archive, and then you can even bring back archive documents, archive loops, super user-friendly. So when you select the loop type, blank loop is going to have no templates in it, listing, purchase, listing for lease, and lease. So the listing is going to be you representing the seller. The purchase is going to be you representing the buyer. The listing for lease is going to be you representing a tenant. And the lease is you either as the landlord or representing landlord. So right now, I'm going to do blank loop. Done. Okay, view loop. When you're in the loop, I'm going to make this bigger. You'll have the option to add from templates, which is basically our brokerage document. So anything that you need to add document-wise is going to be under templates. Then browse is going to be anything you save to your desktop or a folder on your desktop. And then email is obviously anything you're going to email over. So When you click on templates, what you'll see is KWGM documents, KWGM listing packet, sales packet, rental listing tenant packet. In the previous, when we were selecting a loop, if you chose KWGM listing packet, everything in this folder would have populated in this loop. And then just as anything in the, when you chose purchase, anything in this, all of these documents would have already been added to this loop. KWGM documents, if there's like an addendum that you need, if there's like this, like MLS listing input, basically any document that you need that isn't in any of these packets are going to be under KWGM documents. And what's nice is, say you need a specific addendum, in the search bar, just type addendum, and it shows you all the various addendums that you can choose from. There's also a blank addendum if you have something specific that you need to create an addendum for. So for this, I'm going to do the sales packet. Select all, copy. Okay. And then up here, it's going to be a purchase loop, pre-offer. So being that I'm just creating a loop because I have a new buyer, my new buyers looking to purchase a house and wants one sooner than later, but that we don't have a house under contract yet. So this is just, again, like a practice loop. These documents you would not fill out, but what's good, because we're not writing a contract yet, but how you add your clients to the loop is at the very bottom of the loop. You click add person. You will need their full name and email address. I'm gonna do, and then I'm actually gonna change my name so it's actually, I'm gonna pretend to be my sister. So, okay. And you select the role. Katie is my buyer. You can add the phone number. The more information you input into your person, the better, because then it will autofill when you go ahead and do the documents. But you can always come back and add this information. So again, the 3 dots, go back here and edit, and you can add in a phone number once you get it. And this is also going to be where you add person, is going to be where you add the listing agent to the property that you write an offer on. It's going to be where you add, obviously, your buyer, lender, and title company. Okay. I'm going to change, since my buyer's name's Katie, I'm going to edit the name of my loop. Playing around in loop, playing around in .loop, I highly recommend, again, just creating your own loops, navigating, editing things, just so you have an idea of when you do have to go write a contract, you know where everything is, and you're like, okay, you're not sitting there searching for the documents or searching for how to edit things or send things. But the key thing is, again, to add the person to the loop who your client is and having their email. Because this is 99% of the time your clients are going to email them the documents to sign. Obviously, you do have those clients who do want to just sign it in person and get a wet signature, but majority of the time it's going to be electronic. So I'll show you what your client would see, and then this is what you send to your client. Okay, so that being said, hey buyer. All right, we're gonna pretend like we are writing an offer. Let's pop in to the MLS and select a property that we want to buy. Okay, so this can be your MLS Now homepage. In order to get into the main MLS search, it's going to be the very first logo for Matrix. And now this is Matrix homepage. These always come up. I definitely should read them. So just click through. So if you have like say your buyer sends you a property and they're like, hey, can I see this today at 6 o'clock? Instead of typing it in the shorthand bar, always use this, search it. Because this sometimes shows up, but these always populate that address. So for example, let's see. If I wanted to look up street number, street name, so you won't type in road, you just type the street name and then the number here, click search. And the property will show up. Obviously, it will be whatever the client sent you. This is where it will show up. It will give you the status date. So S means sold, X is it expired, and then it'll be the last time it was on the market. How you look up a property is by clicking the MLS number. Okay. Again, the last time this was listed, what it sold for, the listing price. So this was already a sold property. So we're like, oh, sorry, we can't see that property. It's sold. And let me get a property. Let's see. Write an offer for. Okay. Let's say your client was like in love with this house after you saw it. Actually, let's backtrack. I'm going to show you how to schedule a showing so that we can go ahead and write a contract. So your client sent you 1370 Lakewood Avenue. You want to see it today or you want to see it tomorrow at 4. When you pull up the property, read through it, get an idea of the property, the listing agent. When you scroll down, you'll see broker's remarks. Now, the broker's remarks are only remarks that you as an agent can see. Zillow, Realtor.com, everywhere that your client is looking at properties that are active, they do not see broker's remarks. Let's see. This is where you see the comps of the or the commission of the property. When you schedule a showing, it says use the showing time link to schedule a showing. Like, okay, perfect. The showing time link can be found right here. And so it's normally, right below the property. Click on schedule a showing, a new tab will open. Now, right here it says appointment type. There's various appointment types. Some are go and show. This one, for example, so a go and show is one that if you schedule a showing, it will automatically be approved, and they do allow overlapping appointments. So those you may run into another agent showing the property because no matter what time you schedule it, it will get approved automatically. Appointment required, you request the appointment and you just have to wait for either the listing agent or seller to approve the appointment at the time you requested. Normally, agents are pretty fast about it. If you need it like within an hour or like 30 minutes, I recommend just calling the listing agent and being like, hey, I have a buyer that wants to see this property in 30 minutes. Are we able to do so? I'll send the request just so you know that, so that they know it's coming and they can either tell their seller or they can accept it right when they receive it. And what that does is then, so schedule single showing. Okay. We're gonna say we want to see it tomorrow at 1. The blacked out is obviously you aren't unable to schedule during those times. And then showing type. Normally appointments are 15 minutes in length. You can try to extend it. So like this one actually lets you do 30 minutes, which is nice. Cool. Okay, we're gonna pretend like we're gonna see here. So then click request appointment. Okay, so we requested the appointment, but we still have to wait for it to get confirmed. And then I'll show you what that looks like once it is confirmed. All right. Cool. So now we are back on the listing. Okay, so pretend now we got the appointment approved. You'll also want to look at the supplements in the MLS. This is where you'll find the residential property disclosure, the lead paint, maybe some additional home information if they did any improvements. Home warranty will be here. So when you write an offer for your buyer, you will always need to include the lead paint and property disclosure in your documents that you make the offer with. So what that means is, okay, so I'm gonna save, pull this up. And again, before you go on to showing with the client, I highly recommend reading over the property disclosure. This is where you get details from the seller that you would not know. Oh, showing time's calling me right now. So sometimes when your showing time appointments get approved, they will call you before they go ahead and approve it. Okay, so now we're on the property disclosure. Okay. So when you read through this, what you're looking for is anything that has, for the most part, anything that's yes, and that there's context written. So this is like, oh, this is like, not like a red flag, but more so you want to read this very clearly because they could have either replaced the issue that went on or the issue is still occurring. So for example, what it says here about the roof. Do you know of any previous or current leaks or other material problems with the roof or gutters? Yes. If yes, please describe and indicate any repairs completed. Storm damage, the rear replaced from ridge down on back. And they did that in fall 2021. So during the owner's time living here, they had issues with the gutters and they replaced it due to a storm damage and they replaced this back in fall 2021. Again, if your buyer is super interested in the house and you are writing an offer, kind of getting a little bit more insight on this, like if they still have any reoccurring issues with that, have they made any other repairs, have they seen anything going on? Also, during your showing, you can kind of scope out the gutters in the back to see if maybe the gutters in the front need to be replaced or see if there's anything that causes red flags when you go look at what had been repaired. Okay. No. Okay, so anything again where it's written. This is it. The answer. Okay, so mechanical. Do you know of any previous or current problems or defects with the following existing mechanical systems? If your property does not have mechanical system, mark NA for not applicable. So what they wrote here is yes, water leaking from under the furnace. And it looks like this is an existing problem. So very good to know. Oh, why I keep saying that. very good to know, especially to tell your clients when you are looking at the property. Okay. These are all no's. Okay, cool. So again, you will need this to write an offer. You will need the lead paint and the residential property disclosure to have included in your final offer, or in your basically offer to the listing agent. When you are representing the seller, your seller fills out the lead paint and obviously the residential property disclosure, because they're the ones who live in the house and they're the ones who can say what they fixed, what they had issues with, what they didn't fix. Your sellers would be the one to fill out these documents. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on these? Okay. Cool. Right. So now, see, actually, like, what my showing got accepted. You can, no. They called me, but maybe I didn't accept it. Did it go? Okay, actually did it come from. So I'm gonna pull up showing time again. Okay, cool, got accepted. When you go into showing time and you look up your confirmed appointment, whether it be on the app or on your laptop, I do obviously recommend definitely downloading the app. Super easy way to look up the lockbox code, and basically how to get in the property instead of pulling out your laptop and looking, or having a sheet and writing it down. But once your appointment gets accepted, it will have all the information here, like access type. It's a combination code, where the combination, or what the combination code is, and where it is. And then it'll tell you any notes. So knock first, remove shoes, text me when done so seller can return home. Ooh, so I gotta remember to cancel this appointment so the seller doesn't wait. But yes, so this gives you all the details on what you need, or where the lockbox code is, where the lockbox is located, and what the code is. If you haven't done super key yet, I do recommend you do get your super key approval. I also have not done that, but it's basically a high-tech way. Instead of using a lockbox, Supra key is like a lockbox on steroids that you need like facial recognition, and it takes like 2 days to get approved. So say you're out showing a property and that one occurs, you can't access it unless you have the super key approval. And you're able to do that through the MLS. Okay, cool. So that is how your schedule is showing. I'll pop back in here. Right. Again, another thing to know, you can print this off and bring it with you to your showing, but having it available on your phone and just reading through it, things to highlight and to tell your clients, especially if they ask, and what you'll know, their annual taxes, there's no assessment, no homestead. If there was an HOA fee with the property, you would see it right underneath the photo. So there is no HOA fee with property. You can see the list date. So it was actually listed 2 days ago. It's been on the market for 2 days. DOM means days on market. CDOM means cumulative days on market. So if at any point, like it was off market and then came back on, that's what cumulative would mean. Price per square foot. Yeah, so just reading through this document, familiarizing yourself with it before you're showing. The more you look at this, the better you'll know what to look for. All right. So now you're like, you view the property and your buyer loves it and wants to put in an offer. Go into Lou. My buyer, Katie, loved the property, wants to write an offer. What I like to do is add this document to the loop. It's not a required document for the transaction, but it's super nice to just have in the loop and whenever you have to reference anything. So how you do that is click print to PDF. On the list. Save that to my desktop. What I'll also show you in here. So I just went, I'm on the listing. Down here, I clicked print. Agent full. Say you are showing an open house for an agent. What you'll want to bring to open houses is going to be that buyer full because you're going to hand this to the buyers coming in. When you look at buyer full, so this is going to show details about the property, but it's not going to, and then it has your information below, but it's not going to have like the breakdown of like what the listing agent's name is, what the commission is. It's not going to have the detailed broker's notes, how to schedule a showing. It kind of leaves out all those things and kind of makes it very clean looking so that when you're at your open house, you can just have this available for buyers coming through the house. So that's how you print off. If you're hosting an open house, that's how you print off the flyers that buyers can pick up from your open house. Just to make sure you guys know that. Okay. Now I'm in my loop. Changing the loop name to 1370 Lakewood. We're about to write an offer for this property. It's super easy that it's Lakewood Road in Lakewood. Okay. Click save. Back to loop. Okay. The required documents for a purchase agreement are going to be the consumer guide, offer to purchase. This offer to purchase real estate and acceptance. This is your purchase agreement. Oh, and if you want to rename a document at any time, clicking the three dots, rename. I'm just going to rename this purchase agreement. Right, and then what else you'll need? You're going to need to then upload the residential property disclosure and lead paint that you will obtain from supplements on the listing. I save that in downloads. New. When you want to move around any documents, you just hold it and then release your mouse to move any documents, swap anything. So we pull up the purchase agreement. again, going over this with your clients. They could be with you or you can be doing it over the phone, but basically going over the purchase agreement with them like line by line and explaining it and then filling it out as you go. So what I recommend is obviously you already did that. So I'll send over like an explanation of line by line of the purchase agreement. And then as like homework, practice on a few houses like we're doing now, writing an offer. And then any questions you have or you got stuck on like, hey, I didn't know what to put on this line, or hey, what should I have checked or not checked? I'll be happy to answer questions. But the purchase agreement explanations is super helpful when you are going to write a contract for your client. Okay, so my buyer, Katie, anything where she either needs to initial or sign is going to autofill because I already added her to the loop. Buying agent, I'm like, okay, well, that's me. So I'm going to put my name there. What are writing the street number, writing an offer for is going to be 1370 Lakewood Road. Lakewood, Ohio. Okay, then autofill. Okay, again, you go over this with your client. So I'm just gonna briefly go over it so I don't waste too much time on it. But this is gonna be what is included when you do purchase the house. So say like they're leaving their dishwasher, it includes the range and oven. It's gonna include the kitchen refrigerator. This is all will show in the MLS listing as well. So appliances included are going to be the dishwasher, dryer, range, and washer. So we have the range and oven. That's where you would check the dishwasher. It did not say that they're including the refrigerator, but they will include washer and dryer. And how I found that is appliances right there. Also good to know they're not including kitchen refrigerator or microwave. Checking that. Okay. This is not a secondary offer. Okay, then this is what you'll go over with your client. Now to backtrack, your buyer, Katie, you're taking her around looking at all these houses in Lakewood. You showed her like 10 houses. Always make sure that even before you see the first house, that they get pre-approved. You want to make sure that you know what their budget is and that they do have the finances to purchase a home instead of wasting their time and your time showing them homes that either A, they can't afford, or B, they're not pre-approved. So like even if you were to put in an offer, it wouldn't get accepted until you get a pre-approval letter. And that's what cross-country mortgage is for. Cross-country mortgage or any mortgage, like that's what your lender is for. So what I also recommend is obviously if your client's like, hey, do you know any lenders information so that we can go ahead so that I can get pre-approved. I recommend shopping around to see the best rates, but cross-country mortgage, super helpful. Everyone is so nice and they are in office, so it's very easy to get in touch with them. Providing them cross-country mortgage, but then contact information, but then recommending that for them to seek other lenders is what I would also recommend to do just in case they're like, okay, well, I heard so-and-so had a better rate. Getting in touch with the more they do their own research and who they want to use, the better. But definitely getting them pre-approved and getting that pre-approval letter of what their budget is key. Okay, so you guys discussed, and she was like, okay, well, the furnace is leaking and the dishwasher, or I mean, the refrigerator is not included. I'm hesitant and want to do below asking. So the list price is $239. When the listing agent listed the property, they did account for the leaking furnace and the refrigerator. But your client wants to put in an offer for $220. When it comes to earnest money, that is going to be up to your client on what they want to put down. So say they want to put down $5,000. This is basically telling the seller that they're super interested in the house, that they're willing to put down a $5,000 deposit prior. The $5,000 does come out at the end in closing costs. So that will all be explained to you. That will all be explained to your client through your lender and through the title company. The earnest money is going to go directly to the title company that your client chooses to use. For example, Ohio Real Title, who we're affiliated with, in order to put down the earnest money, you can just go right to Ohio Real Title's website and then Ohio Real Title. Right up here it says earnest money deposit. This is where your client will send that $5,000. Put the property address and make a payment. So this is where you'll direct your client to go ahead and put that $5,000. But you won't do this until your offer has been accepted. Okay. Going to be they're using lender. And as you can see, everywhere that my buyer needs to initial, it automatically populated my buyer's name, initial here. If there's two buyers that are purchasing the home, obviously they'll have to initial as well. You don't want to confuse and be like, oh, I want to get rid of this initial box. Click on the box, click X, so that your buyer knows they just need an initial there. They don't need it initial twice. Don't do anything on the seller side. You fill out all of this with your client. Again, I'll share a video with you and a line-by-line description and explanation of how to fill out a purchase agreement. But don't waste too much time on that. Fill this out and go over with your client.
Wait, why are you taking out the box again?
Because I only have one buyer, not two buyers, so I don't want her to initial twice. So the document will automatically have, I mean, you could leave the box in since you didn't assign it to them. But if you had two buyers and you added them to the loop, so if Katie and Kelly were purchasing the home, this would be assigned for Kelly to initial. But since Katie's the only buyer on this transaction, I'm just deleting the boxes so that she won't get confused as thinking that either she needs to sign twice or we're like, oh, why is there another box for a buyer initials?
Got it.
Yeah, and that same goes for like the seller. So if there's only one seller, you don't need both boxes, you can just delete them. And obviously you can keep the boxes. This is just me showing you how to delete them if you wanted to. Okay. This is Katie sign here, so her full signature will be signed there. if you want to delete the box. Now, in order to add a box, you're like, oh shoot, I accidentally deleted that box, but I do want Kelly to sign here. Oops, I accidentally deleted this one. Oh, I accidentally deleted the wrong box. In order to add another box, you click add. If it's a signature box, initial box, you need to add text, add a date. You'll see them all right here. So I need to add a signature. Click there. Assign field. When you click on the box, you'll have the option to assign field. I'm assigning this field for Katie to sign. Okay. Cool. And your information will hopefully be auto-populated there. Again, last place for Katie to initial. You always want to make sure you save the document. And then when you go back, do you want to share with your client? Do you want to share? Would you like to share? No. Before you share everything with your client, I recommend always filling out the document, filling out all the documents your client will need to sign and initial in all the fields prior to sharing it with them so they can send it as one big document. So they won't just keep getting email by email like, oh, they just got the purchase agreement. Oh, they just got the consumer guide. Completing each one and filling out all the applicable boxes and then sharing it with your client so that you can go over each document if they have any questions. So this is going to be the consumer guide. I want to share this. It did not get assigned to my buyer, so assign field. It will assign there. Save. Would you like to share it? No, not yet. Okay, so for the lead paint and property disclosure, these you will have start adding the boxes where your buyer is going to need to either initial or sign. So add initials. Purchaser has received copies of all reports and records listed above. You went over this with your client, add initials. And let's see. Assign field, Katie. Assign field, Katie. With initials and boxes. Reading through all the documents and getting an idea of like, oh, I need to check this box or I need to check that box. Like reading through everything and getting yourself familiar with each document so that when you go to explain it to your clients, you know what it says and you know what it's talking about and you know what areas they need to sign and what areas they don't need to sign and basically like what the more you familiarize yourself with the documents, the better you'll be able to explain it to them. Okay, so purchasers here. So the lead paint disclosure is usually just one page. The residential property disclosure is going to be a 6-page document. And on each page, your buyer is going to need to initial. So add initials, assign field, Katie. Next page. Initials, assign field, Katie. Initials, assign field, Katie. And then purchaser's signature. So when your client signs, so when your buyer signs anything in dot loop, it automatically stamps the date and time that they signed. So you never really have to worry about adding a date in there because once your buyer signs, it will automatically stamp that. Okay, now you're all saved. Go back. We're not going to share it yet. Okay, agency disclosure. Cool, we can autofill appropriate information. Okay. So you put the buyer's name. You're with Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan. It also gives you the option to do a smaller font, change up the size, type of font. So with two different brokerages, so I'm representing the buyer and I'm with Keller Williams. Let's say the listing agent is John and he's with Howard Hanna. That's where you'd be like John Smith, Howard Hanna. And you can also just like have the listing agent fill out that information. But if you want to do it for him, totally fine. Now, if you're with the same brokerage, so I'm the representing the buyer and then another agent with Keller Williams. So say you're man, I'm representing the buyer and say Kim Torres with Keller Williams is representing the seller. This is again, you would not, this is with the same brokerage, so you would not fill out this box. This would be blank. And then this is if you're the only real estate agent in the transaction. Again, reading through these documents and making and knowing which ones you have to fill out, making yourself familiar with it is key before going over this with your clients. So Katie's going to sign this page. And the agency disclosure is a 2-page document. Just so you know. This is the affiliate business arrangement disclosure. Also can be referred to as the ABA. So this can be 2 property address. Put the date, but you don't need to. Right. This document is basically stating that we are affiliated with Ohio Real Title, and even if you don't use Ohio Real Title in the transaction, you do still need to get this filled by your client. And cool is automatically autofill for her to sign. Click save. Okay. No. Okay. So this checklist for buyer sale is basically all the documents needed in a buyer transaction. We are updating this checklist, so I don't want to get too in detail about it, but it is super helpful, just reference, because these are things that in order to get paid once your property closes, you need to meet compliance. So the documents that would be audited are going to be the purchase agreement, the residential property disclosure, lead paint, agency disclosure. You're going to need a copy of the earnest money check. So once your offer is accepted, your client deposits the earnest money. The title company will send you either a copy of the check or a receipt. That needs to be included in your compliance documents to the office for them to be audited, and then for you to then be able to get paid. That's gonna be then you're gonna have the consumer guide, the ABA, the America's Preferred home warranty, even if there is no home warranty included and your client wants to waive the home warranty, you would just have to get this document signed under the waived portion of the document, and I'll pull it up and show you. Copy of the escrow letter. The escrow letter is what you, once the transaction is complete, you both agreed upon, basically, once you both agreed upon and you're under contract, you can go ahead and fill out the escrow letter. This document you'll send to the title company, and it's basically telling the title company what they owe you in compensation. This is not a required document to be sent to the office, but they like it when you do. We like it when you do include it. Okay. Point of sale isn't required to audit, but you do, if the point of sale, if the property has a point of sale, their city has a point of sale, the listing agent will let you know, or also just do your due diligence to see like, hey, does Lakewood have a point of sale? Okay. And then removal contingencies, these are just all. So in order to write an offer and send it to the listing agent, the documents are going to be what you need. You don't need that one yet. You don't need the America's Preferred Home Warranty or escrow letter yet. These you will not need right away. Because you're not going to send an earnest money until your offer gets accepted. But these are, so you already filled out all of these and you're going to send it to your client to sign. And again, we're going to have a revamped checklist, but okay, perfect. Like, okay. You filled out all of these for your client to sign and be like, check them off, share. Buyer Katie can sign and fill if there's somewhere she needs a print, but I don't believe so. Can sign all the documents. She has 24 fields to fill out. Hi, Katie. Please. See applicable field. If you have any questions. Sure. Then you could call Katie, text her, let her know, hey, I just sent the documents over for you to sign. Once she signs all those documents, this is what it'll look like once it had been shared with her. Once she signs all those documents, then I will show you what that looks like. Again, practicing with another email address of yours to kind of see what to do, how to share it, how to sign it. It'd be super beneficial. Okay, so this is what will come through as. Kelly shared these documents with you. View all documents. So I'm Katie, signing all the applicable fields. Start signing. Your client, document sign. When I click it, cool, fine. Okay. So just so you guys see, so why you don't have to put in the date. It literally shows date and time that Katie signed it. This is super user-friendly for your clients because it brings you everywhere they need to sign. And if they miss one, it'll yell at you and say like, hey, you missed this. This is the one you missed. But basically your client just has to click. Oh, I missed one. Okay, well, I'll show you what it should. Perfect. Finish signing. Okay. Now your client will be like, hey, I just finished signing all the documents. And then you're like, great, we'll send that over to the listing agent and keep you posted once I hear back. No. Now I'm gonna go in here, your profile, go into your loop. Perfect. You see that she signed. Now, everywhere that we just signed, it'll literally show signed. Then you can either go ahead and check all these and share this to the listing agent through .loop. Or basically what you want to do is tell the listing agent, before you go ahead and write this offer, you would speak to the listing agent, be like, hey, my client's really interested in this property. What is your seller looking for? So that you kind of want to accommodate and let your buyer know that you're putting in a good offer. You're trying to see if like, oh, the seller wants to have a quick close. Well, let your buyer know, hey, can we have a quick close? It might be a more enticing offer. You're working with the listing agent to get this transaction complete and for everything to run smoothly. So contacting them with any questions, feel free. Never feel like you're asking listing agents some questions when your client's like, hey, can you find out what that spot was in the basement? If they're going to buy the house, they want to know, and you want to ask all the questions. So when you go ahead and let the listing agent know, hey, my buyer's going to write an offer tonight. Would you like me to send it via email, .loop? Normally, like, you can just send it through .loop, add the listing agent and send it through .loop. Or if they wrote specifically in the broker's remarks, please send all offers to an email address. So let's say the broker's remarks said, please send all offers to k.man@kw.com. I check all the ones my client signed, downloads as a PDF. 70 Lakewood purchase agreement. Desktop, and then go ahead and save it to your desktop. Upload it to an email to the listing agent and send that over with basically the you can do a summary of your offer. You can just send it over, be like, please see offer attached. Now, you just wait for the listing agent to present that to the seller. The seller comes back, and let's say the seller comes back and is like, oh, I accept that offer. Awesome. The next step is going to be for the seller to sign all these documents. And then once the seller signs, that's called a fully executed contract with both signatures of the buyer and seller agreeing to the terms. Now the seller can come back and just say, no, I don't accept it. I would like a higher offer, and just completely decline without even coming back with like, oh, okay, well, 220 is too low. Let's do 230. You just kind of want to gauge, like, again, with the listing agent, see what the seller is looking for, and then see how high your buyer wants to pay for the property, and so on and so forth. Right. So let's say that our offer was accepted, both buyer and seller signed the purchase agreement. So the listing agent calls you and be like, hey, my seller accepts this offer. I'll send you back the documents tonight. I'll have my seller sign tonight and send you that back. Awesome. You receive this. The seller signatures are there. When you go back, again, this is gonna say signed. I'm gonna rename this document as signed purchase agreement so that I know this purchase agreement has been signed by both my buyer and seller. This has been signed by both my buyer and seller. So then instead of just keep opening and closing the documents to see if you have both signatures on them, you renamed it. You're like, okay, I already opened that. It's signed. I don't need to get any more signatures on this. Okay. So say the seller did not accept the offer or came back and negotiated. When you go into the purchase agreement, the listing agent could have been like, cross this number out and put like 230. And then the seller's signature and then the seller's initials next to it. Anything that you change from the previous offer, you always want to initial. So this was crossed out and the seller's signature is like, I'll accept 230, they initial. If your buyer's like, no, I don't want to accept 230, obviously you just tell the listing agent, no, we don't accept the 230, we only want to go to 225 and then see what they say. But if your buyer's like, hey, 230 works for me, so you would then, again, anywhere the seller signed or any changes made to the document, both signatures are going to need to be on it. Do you guys have any questions? Is there anything you want me to go over that I didn't cover? Okay, well, I know it's 7, but I can just briefly show you how to look up open houses in the MLS. It's super easy. So say you're hosting an open house this weekend. So that's a little bit about dot loop, and then I'll do another video on listing and the documents required for a listing. Okay, so you're on your home screen. I'm just gonna quickly go over how to look up open houses, and if you're hosting an open house, it'll obviously be posted in here as well. Once you hover over search, click on open house. Check public. Select the date you're hosting the open house. Saturday, January 6th, hosting open house. What I recommend bringing to the open house is basically a list of bringing to the open house that you are hosting is a list of other open houses in the area. So say a buyer comes in and they really do like the property that you're hosting, obviously that's great. But if they're like, oh, I'm not really interested, but they're not working with an agent and are interested in purchasing a home, having a list of open houses within the area is a great talking point to be like, oh, if you're not interested in this house, like, I'll be happy to show you. These are the other open houses in the area. Let me know if you're in, like, I have this open house until 3 p.m., but if you're interested, I'll be happy to show you those properties later. Or if you're interested in any of these houses, we can always look at them at a later date. Again, just great way to have conversation and pick up buyers when you are hosting an open house. So open house type is going to be public. The date of the open house, your open house that you're hosting is in Avon, or if it is your open house, so you don't even have to be hosting it. It's your listing. Avon Lake, surrounding cities. Again, so choosing open houses in surrounding cities. So if you are hosting or your listing is in Avon Lake, let me look up Sheffield Lake, Sheffield Village. And down here, you'll see how many matches. So on Saturday in these cities, that's how many open houses there are. Click on results. Where it says display, click on open house. And along with having that MLS buyer full flyer at your open house, including like a sheet of this front and back for buyers to pick up as well. It's super nice. And for you to even be like, know what other open houses are in the area. If you wanted to kind of arrange times around similar times. So you're like, oh, well, if people are already out looking at this property from 11 to 1, instead of having yours from 3 to 6, you're like, I'll probably get more action if people are bopping around and like, okay, 11 to 1. Oh, okay, I'll do mine from, 12 to 2, 12 to 2. And obviously not all agents are going to be like, oh, I'm going to host an open house on Saturday and they're going to put that in the MLS on Thursday. I would research and check this on Saturday morning because so many more open houses could populate. The agents could schedule an open house that day and make it public that day. This is like if you proactively are like, oh, I definitely know the agent proactively scheduled the open house before Saturday. Now, when you look at brokers open, so brokers opens are meant for agents only, and it's basically for agents to look at the various properties to see if they have a client that's interested. And brokers opens are on Tuesdays, and that's that list that Kate sends out every Tuesday of the brokers opens that you can go ahead and go to as an agent. I recommend going to them and kind of just getting an idea of what they are, a great way to network as well, and to just basically go on your own little like open house tour, but this is when you would just go as an agent. Click brokers open, and then again, the brokers opens that have already been scheduled. Results. Well, this one's scheduled far out, but that's how you would search that up. Okay. Cool. Does anybody have any questions? Is there something that I didn't cover that you want me to cover? Okay. Well, cool. Well, thanks guys for joining.